Let's beat our weather systems, what we're doing, so. We'll call it to order. Approval of the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second by Doug. I don't think we have any changes. We might move a few people ahead of the public hearings, and that's about it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Our minutes from the 7th. Tracy. The motion was to approve, I hope.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any corrections or anything that anybody's seen? If not, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? All right. Public comment. See, we do have some public here today.
Okay.
We're gonna have you come up here.
Okay.
To the corner, state your name.
My name is Nicole, Nicole Mishad, Michaud. And I'm here to introduce myself. So my name is Nicole Mishad. I'm the current chair of the City of St. Croix Falls Parks, Arts and Trails Commission. We're working with the county on a couple big projects right now. And I'm just coming to say hi, listen in. I know there's some updates on trail stuff and an e-bike conversation. So just curious what y'all are going to be talking about and say hi, introduce myself. So hoping to build a stronger bridge between the City of St. Croix Falls, PAT, and the county to work on more initiatives in the future. We're really working on a lot of pretty cool projects in the city, a lot geared toward tourism, bringing more people into Polk County. I know that's a big initiative countywide, so just wanted to come and say hi and excited to work with all you more in the future.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And have a, I know.
Okay, any other? Sir, no?
You might. No, you're excited.
We'll cut you off. You're all right.
Good morning, my name is Melvin Smith. I'm here for the Milltown Snowmobile Club today. We were just curious about the e-bike thing, as far as the safety, as far as when it's going. We did check more into it and found out that it was, you can run an e-bike on the Gandy. We're just worried about the winter use and the spring use when it becomes, we can close it for ATVs, we can close it for snowmobiles for winter use. But right now, there's no closing for e-bikes as far as going out and if it's warm weather, tracking up and wrecking the trail. We were just curious about all this stuff that's going to happen with that and the safety with the lighting and stuff like that. Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else? We're good then? Okay. Not have another supervisor here that isn't on, so we're good there. Mr. Mo, anything extra? From last night, we heard most of it. So we're sitting pretty good.
Still pretty good, yeah.
I think so.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mo. I'm the Public Works Director for Polk County. I gave an update to the board last night on Parks and Trails. I'm not sure if you want me to repeat that one or other.
No, I don't think we have.
Perfect. Otherwise, nothing's changed since 6 o'clock last night.
Okay. I think we're good then, really. Unless you know the exact times you want to refer to it during that meeting.
Yeah.
Tell somebody. Okay. What else can we get done here in about 10 minutes?
How can we do Cody?
We get him done that quick?
I believe so.
Sure. Yeah.
So thanks for having me. I'm Cody Knope, USDA, the damage program for Polk County here. So I guess for my purposes of this meeting is we would hopefully set prices for commodities that would be included for the claims for the past year. I believe it's something that's been done every year. And what I would do is I presented some improved prices and some price ranges for the different commodities that we would be covering on the damage program. We do have one atypical one this year with the nursery damage, deer damage to nursery. And you guys had that prices. I talked to Chad with that a little bit, and we wouldn't look for individual price approvals on that. If it's possible, we could just get one approval from the county on those prices. Whatever that is that.
So did we have a big nursery that was wide open or something that happened?
So we had a nursery in St. Croix Falls that had was acclimating some of their plants outside, and they left them out, and within 3 nights they got really extensive damage. So it was an atypical situation that they're able to do a full enrollment in the program, which then created them eligible for claims. So that's why that's in there, but otherwise it's a general row crop.
It's the other crop. All right. Well, let's start with corn.
You can see that I have the 3 proposed prices. A lot of the other counties have either picked kind of a mid-range price or have kind of averaged it to what they feel would be a fair price. I kind of leave it up for you guys to kind of get use a price in that range.
Right here, I got Brad. I'm gonna read it. So we're looking at race number 2. He thinks we should deduct 45 cents, which would account for the trucking, drying and all that. And harvest and deliver. So the final price he has is $5.80. Just
Underneath the proposed.
under, yeah, so
Okay.
corn price number 2, he has $5.80. Which is almost to the one.
So what number 1 is, that's the, when insurance, so crop insurance sets their price in February and November, I believe it is. So last year, so a year or 10 months ago in February, that's where that 590 comes from.
Sure.
So that's what, I think it's the average of Chicago for February. Same with the 686, that's where that price. The local cash average, I believe, I mean, I was thinking 640, but 625, I think that's probably.
Sure, and that's a 9-month average price closing on our local.
So, I mean, we can debate whether you take off drying and trucking. That's always been Brad's deal, to take off trucking
Yeah.
and drying. I don't care.
Split the difference then, go at 6 even.
Bad. I mean, if everybody else is fine with that.
What does everybody think? Should we just split the difference, go with 6 even? Okay, let's do corn at 6.
Is there, do I have the list of
Yeah,
claims?
you do. Well, no, not the list of claims.
I don't
No, I don't think we don't.
Yeah.
We don't have the list.
Okay. I mean, I'm fine.
Is 5 or 6?
Fine.
Okay, we're gonna split the difference for everybody. Okay. So we have corn at 6. Soybeans,
Soybeans, you'll see that we haven't got enough good data for local cash prices, so we just do the RMA and the NAS on that. It's a pretty good, pretty close range, closer than corn, so.
It's just so the NAS survey, that's the National Agricultural Statistics Survey. So that's taking everything like across the country. So you can get some pretty wild stuff in that.
It does, but I use the Wisconsin specific numbers. They do produce Wisconsin specific, but that is statewide Wisconsin still.
And so up here, our price is lower up when you go than it is. You go, the farther you go south, the higher the price is.
so Brad's got 21 cents off that.
Off of which number?
He took
Off of the
1381.
1381 to 1360.
So again, just kind of because I look at the crop prices every day, if I had to make an educated guess without knowing all the numbers, I would think our starting price would be somewhere in that 14 neighborhood. on an average, kind of similar to your corn average. So
Maybe do the difference there, get about it
1380, it'd come out to 1380 if you split the
1380.
difference from what Brad says.
Well, what does everybody think? 1380? Consensus. 1380, so. Hey, he had no comment.
Did we have some hay damage?
We did, yep. There's one claim.
Just one claim.
And is it alfalfa or?
It's alfalfa haylage. But the best numbers I can get is usually it's a produced dry hay per tonnage. And I have to use that to kind of reflect what critical wet. That number is for pretty good alfalfa haylage too.
And that might even be low, I mean, compared to what it is now, if you're looking to buy hay.
Right. And this is a growing season price too.
So the 170 seems pretty fair. All right, does everybody think that? That's what I'm gonna write down, 170, okay.
Okay.
I guess with the nursery prices, they had that was their actual retail stickers that they had per unit. And we did a full count on the ones that were damaged and unsaleable. The health is use their current retail values. Because that's what they were sold for with that case. But if there's cross verify with other nurseries to determine that.
Yeah. Well, what does everybody think?
Well, their pricing is pretty much in line with other nurseries, because I know I shop all the nurseries, and their pricing's pretty much in line with every year.
And I even collected the tags off of if there was discrepancy.
All right. So we can do, what is it, 10 or 12? Sure.
Like that when we did the hay, is it healing in the white bag?
That could be, yeah.
Or any of these?
So we required some abatement measures. In this case, it was shooting.
So it was hay in the field, it wasn't hay in the bag.
Right. This was growing.
Well, that was that, where we had nurseries, I thought.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, were we on the road requiring any fencing?
We actually issued shooting permits on this one. We discussed fencing and it wasn't very reasonable, I guess, for their situation for what they had. So we tried to do some shooting permits and that's what we tried on that one. It's still an atypical situation, but we felt that was going to be the best form of payment there.
So did they fill on all the shooting permits?
It didn't look like they did.
So are we gonna be in the?
That'll be
same
on the
boat
claim
again?
spot, though, not the pricing. So we'll
Yeah,
do that when they
we could talk
bring
about
some
that
claims,
later in
yeah.
the meeting and we'll have to come to a
We'll have to
conclusion
come
on
to
that.
what we can do. We have had that. All right, so on the nursery stuff, the 12 prices, should we just leave all those as they are, then the 12? Consensus.
I mean, we don't have anything else to go off.
Yeah, not really, that was their pricing, so. All right, then they'll stay the same as what's there. Okay. Now, what do you come back next month with the claims for 2 months?
I was gonna ask when the meeting is and try to make, get on that schedule. And I just.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully next month, if that works out good and see when you guys.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get it done
Right, yeah, Cody's on our work plan.
for January,
First or
okay,
second meeting.
sure. All right. Perfect timing.
9:15, I don't know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
People, pictures. Perfect. The GIS is good to start with.
We do these in order? Okay.
All right. We'll start the recording. For our first hearing today is Chris and she Wojcicki. And they're requesting a conditional use permit to create a winery at a property located at 2896 90th Street, located in section 10, town 36 north, range 16 west, in the town of Bone Lake. Parcel number is 012-00185-0000. That's just shy of 40 acres. Claire's got it up here on the screen. This was before you in November at your first meeting in that for a rezone. The property was zoned residential ag 5. It has been approved by the committee and will need to be approved by the county board to be zoned ag 10. If it is approved by the county, then and that it would be an allowed conditional use permit application for a winery. There is a dry run creek that comes through the south end of the property. There's a couple of wetlands, mainly over on the other side of the road, because the road isn't actually following the 40 line. Otherwise than that, you can see it's about half wooded and half open. And talking with the applicant, he's proposing to put in a driveway somewhere about in the middle of this field. And then that would go back into a building, roughly 70 by 100. And then they would have their grapes and then on the south and the north side of that building. The town of Bone Lake did approve of the rezone. And they also approved of the winery liquor license. I'm not sure, I assume it's a class B on May 19th, 2022. We did provide a class 2 notice out to all of the neighbors, and we have not received any comments for it or against it. Dwelling on the property, the primary dwelling is right here. And there's a sanitary system that goes out to the south. There is a mobile home that's been permitted right up in here, kind of in the trees. And that's served by a holding tank just to the west of the building there. So I think with that, we can jump into the pictures. The pictures that we're going to pull up, I took yesterday. Okay, so this is the entrance to the property. This is looking south down 90th Street. The field that would be proposed to be grapes and the winery is off to our left here. Okay. This here is looking to the north. So to give you an idea, if we were to go north here, we would hit 290th Avenue, which would run all the way out to County Road I. If you're familiar with the old brick schoolhouse, that's kind of where this would be coming. So we're 2 miles off from County Road I to the east. This is the driveway. Again, the new winery building would not be using the existing driveway. It would have a new one. But there would be some trucks and delivery that would be using the existing driveway according to the applicant. Just kind of going back through, the field is off to the right. The primary house is right here. There's some campers on the property. Just did kind of a panorama view all the way around. This blue structure here is that other mobile home that's on the property. This is just kind of views of their main house, tree house here in the yellow. This here is looking pretty much to the south. So we're looking at the back side of the wood line. The applicant explained to me that they're looking at using this blue building here for their production of the wine. The other wood building, which I got a close up of, and that would not be used for the wine making. Just that blue one. There's a close up of that building. This is just some other pictures of the site. So this is looking basically southwest. That wood line wraps around. You can see a power pole out here for the road. This is the field area. The building would be probably right in this area with then the grapes on the south and. So right here, I'm looking to basically do west. New driveway would come in basically right here. And that equipment there would be approximately the new building area with the grapes surrounding. Another picture of the field. The driveway here, there would be an existing driveway that connects to their primary driveway where they serve their houses off from. And that would be where there'd be a driveway for deliveries come around the back side of the building. The town, Andy, emailed me and he's got two conditions in that they would like to have on this request if the committee is going to grant it. Those two conditions are that there is no parking on the road, so they have to provide all the off-street parking, and that quiet hours would be imposed after 10 p.m. And there is no floodplain or other sewers that would be used, and that everything would be on it. No floodplain, no navigable waters, those three undelineated wetlands, but mainly on the other side of the road. Pretty much it. So that's it by town road.
So the use of that building, it isn't gonna be like a wedding event and all that, it's just for the winery.
And that.
The new building, is that why they wanted quiet hours? I guess I don't
The
understand.
applicant is here and that, so he can explain
Oh,
more. on
we can
what
ask,
their
okay.
use is. So,
All right, anyone else send questions? We maybe have the applicant go up and we can ask.
No.
Go up by Jason and.
Morning.
Good morning.
What? If I use your,
Absolutely.
Okay.
Let it rip.
So what why they wanted quiet hours, what is the building gonna be used for? I guess the approximately 70 by 100, is it like a wedding event deal or is it for your egg
So it'll be
use?
primarily for production, and that'll be our customer facing building. So come in for tasting of wine, purchasing of wine, product that we have for sale in our shop. The building could be used for private events, if a wedding. For that, you know, we're not going to limit ourselves to that, but it's not our primary focus either. If I could give you a little bit of background on the conversation that Andy Brown and I had on the noise, is was a big concern of his. We had several conversations online and offline about noise, and I agree with him 1,000%. I don't want noise either. Our clientele doesn't lend itself to the types that would be having, you know, drag races up and down 90th Street, 2 o'clock in the morning. We don't want to be open past 9, 10 o'clock at night either. My wife and I both have, you know, regular jobs that support our family and of course our venture back into the wine business. That being said, you know, we agreed, and I think we allayed a lot of Andy's and the town's concerns about noise. My only objection to quiet hours, as Jason had sent yesterday, an email to me with some proposed ideas for conditional use. With quiet hours between 10 p.m. and 9 a.m. I've got no problem with being quiet after 10 o'clock. I'm not going to be quiet up until 9 a.m. Now, this is the substance of the argument between Andy Brown and myself. This is the town of Bone Lake's gravel pit. When they decide to do anything back here, they usually start at 6:30 in the morning with trucks lining up here, making all sorts of racket. And then when they're processing gravel, they go to 11 p.m. I told Andy, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. You make a noise, I'm gonna make noise. Got it? So it's just a fair thing. I'm not. I've got a family. I'm not, but that was just out of principle. So I would object to any limitation for noise after 10 o'clock. We're not gonna be noisy anything. But when it's all written down. Something I've got to abide by. And that would then go for all of my neighbors. Okay, so we're in an agricultural area, and there's constant hum of agricultural noise during harvest. Doesn't bother me. I've never complained about it, but it goes till 11, 12 o'clock, starts at 5 in the morning. Looking for.
All right. Anybody else with the question? All right. That's good for now, yes. We'll see if there's any public that has anybody here for or against. No. Okay, you did, and received no letter. All right. So pretty much. Jason, maybe what do we do for some of our standard conditions? Would they have to get a different, say he went to have events and stuff, would they have to come back for anything?
Events?
Yeah, say they had wedding events and that, would they have to come back to the county to us or what?
You guys, and that typically I would consider, and that if we look at our other wineries around, Deer Lake, Dancing Dragonfly, Chateau, I consider that all those, existing facilities have events. So as long as they have, in that hours of operation, they're operating within that time period. As long as they have adequate sanitary, adequate facilities, of course, it's gonna require public health licensing too. And that to walk through and make sure everything's clean. So as long as they comply with that.
Don't fine with that.
But I mean, if you wanted to specify that it's indoor events or something like that.
No, I was just wondering how we did that. Yeah, so that, okay, so we're pretty safe there. All right.
So, the findings of fact here, are basically what I went through, and at the beginning here, I'll take and scroll down. To the conditions that. Will go up a little bit. I proposed to Chris yesterday. And these are kind of a combination of what we've been putting on conditional uses lately. And also what we did for the Deer Lake Winery, and that which wasn't before you guys, it was before the Board of Adjustment. So that's where a lot of these are very similar, depending on the erosion control, how much area they're gonna take and disturb, that might be an issue, having the property lines marked, the parking areas, keep that parking off the street and on their property. Maximum occupancy determined by public health and the sanitary. Accessory buildings cannot have any sleeping accommodations, so our winery building can't turn into a sleeping inn too. No RVs or campers allowed for overnight stay, so we don't have people coming to the property and then camping over. All parking to be on impervious surface, and that would be gravel, or gravel would be acceptable for that. The hours of operation that he alluded to, 9 AM to 9 PM. That's exactly what we had on Deer Lake down here. He had actually proposed in his application 10 AM and that to 9 PM and that as well. So the quiet hours we did add because that is something that we've had. Like that's kind of a question. So if there is any campfires, that they would be out by 11 or 10 PM. That's normally 11 PM and that's like our short-term rental type of conditional uses. Having an owner or their agent and that around the property. I don't think that's gonna be an issue. Sounds like they're gonna be operating it themselves. But it's just kind of something down the road in case it's sold. And that we do have that criteria. And then just kind of some of our general catch-all conditions, and that, that's being on the property, it must remain free of any charges, or violations. And then the sewer facilities would have to meet because we'd probably be talking two different systems, one to serve the processing little blue shed there, and then the new building or the bigger building would probably have its own separate system, just because of the separation and the two different types of waste. And that would be generated, probably a holding tank to take and satisfy the blue processing shed, and probably a conventional or some other type of drain field system for the wine tasting area. So
Okay.
some of the things I've thought about too, and that is if you guys wanted to take and limit building size. That's something in that a lot of these wineries and event centers are fairly large buildings. So I don't know if you want to put a cap on that. If you want to put any kind of, Saturday or Sunday hours, and that different than what it would be through the normal part of the week. If you want to make exemptions in that, they only have quiet from 10 PM to 6 AM. So you can take and modify and change it how you see fit.
Well, being where they at, I don't think we have to go a lot. I just think the quiet hours, like you said, the neighbors a gravel pit. They kind of do like I do is kind of the attitude. We can change those numbers, or quiet hours could be, I think, like you said, maybe 5 to 10 or something.
Yeah, I should
I don't
clarify
know.
too, in that 9 PM, that's a state. And that's a state cutoff for a winery to be open, is 9 PM. And,
Oh, really?
yep, and
Okay.
that's at the state level,
So
so.
that one we can leave. So then it's just the quiet hours.
Correct.
I don't know what everybody else thinks. I mean, with the gravel pit next door. And farming, I mean, it isn't like a winery makes a lot of noise.
You just want to strike that whole quiet hour section, you can do that.
That might be simpler.
Yeah, Yeah. it's easier.
Just strike maybe that second half off.
The only thing I'd say on that is we don't ask for 10 o'clock.
I would, but they have a gravel pit right next door and they
Oh,
start
there
at
are
6 to
homes in the
10.
area. There are, if you pull the map back up. there's one-
Let's see how many are close.
But if hours of operation stop at 9, yeah, well, then who's gonna be there after 9?
You can just leave it.
Huh?
You can just leave it, and I understand what you're saying, but what does it hurt them to say 10 o'clock?
Then what do
Get
you?
rid of the quiet from 10 to 9, you just get rid of the 9 AM part of it, and you say quiet hours after 10.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
Because there are homes down on the southwest.
Before back in there. For
He
instance.
didn't complain, but I'm just saying they're there.
They're there, yeah.
So just take off the 9 AM.
All right. All right, anything else then? After we looked at that. Applicant, are you good with that?
I got a couple of questions. Can I sit up here, do you mind?
Yes, you can. Did you get a rebuttal with
I
these?
don't like talking to people's backs. I know that, and I really appreciate what Jason's done on this, because, our conversation yesterday was pretty light. And we're not asking for anything more than what the other wineries are already doing. So as I said yesterday, we're not doing rocket science, it'd be real easy, boom, boom, get it done, right? But one of the, I guess, the accessory buildings not having sleeping accommodations, right? I mean, if we have a winery that blue building is out, no one's sleeping. That doesn't make sense to. RVs and campers, we wouldn't be having RVs and campers in the winery area anyway. We're not set up for that. Pictures that you saw are a couple of friends of mine that have their campers there because they live in town. And can't just park one on the street in the hotel. Doesn't work for the local community. Yeah, what the hell, throw it out here, and then they come and go with it whenever they go camping. quiet hours. Thank you. I appreciate the conversation on that. I don't plan on having any fires. So my question on number 10 was, does that include my own personal recreation on my property? I decided to have a bonfire with my family and whatnot.
It's the business part.
It's
No,
just the
this
business.
is all just the business part.
Okay.
It's just the winery itself.
Okay, and number 14, I didn't take as a personal shot or not, yeah, I didn't take that as a personal shot. I just wanted you to know, my dogs were absolutely off the wall ramp bump just yesterday. It's like they hadn't seen another person in years. They decided they were gonna circle us and bark and have a good time.
No, that was not it, and that, it's just a common condition that we have on all the
Yeah.
short-term rentals and that, so that, you know, you got people coming and that their dog doesn't run off. You know.
Well, I don't want the liability either if my dog doesn't like somebody decides to chomp their leg. He was really bad. So I just wanted to make sure I brought that up. And then explain, if you will, a little bit about 13. Property must remain free from citation and charges for nuisance, disorderly conduct, or any other illegal activity. I'm assuming that's by actions not only of my family and myself, but our guests. Is that what you're getting at?
Related to the operation of the winery, yep,
Right,
and that,
so-
so, yep, and that we get sheriff's report and that, or a charge for disorderly conduct, you know, and that, then you could be, you know, susceptible to losing your license.
Right.
So,
And I think
but it would not be your personal wives, and that it would be related to the winery. So,
I don't think we'll have that problem. In the 10 years that we had Trade River Winery, we never had any of these charges or any issues. In fact, most of your politicians, sheriff, they use that as their hideaway. So we're hoping that hopefully have the same. Y'all come out and just really.
The only concern that I have about adding that particular provision, not that it would happen, but let's say somebody has too much wine and they're disorderly, there's a disincentive to contact law enforcement to take care of the issue because I don't want a citation. I just want them to leave. I want them to go and drive, maybe impaired or what have you. So that's my only concern, that it creates a disincentive to handle an issue if one comes up that's not within their control.
I appreciate that, and if I can just comment, it is our responsibility as responsible beverage servers. We all need to have a license to make sure that nobody gets to that point. But in case somebody does get to that point or we don't notice that, I personally have no problem, you know, calling the sheriff and saying, I've got an issue out here with someone who's refusing to, you know, find an Uber cab or other alternate forms of transportation off the grounds, because I don't want the liability for that either. You got drunk on my property, go crash something, then I'm still gonna. So.
All right, I read it different then. It's a citation would have to be against you or the property. If somebody else is drunk on yours, citation would be written for them, taken on.
Right, so
So
there-
it isn't what they did wrong, it's what somebody else did. But if he started a fight with somebody and he got the,
Yeah, that'd be-
then it would be against them. Then he would lose it. Basically, if somebody else was drunk in their parking lot, he isn't getting the citation, they are.
Right.
So we kind of got to look at
so
it. It's
the
against-
DNR goes out there because they don't have proper stormwater and erosion control
Yeah.
plans. And they issue a citation to the property owner. And
That's where I think that goes. So I think we're looking,
So as long as that's clarified,
I think we're looking at it wrong now.
Okay, a little clarification, that's all that's needed on that. Other than that, I'm fine with this. I mean, I suspect this isn't anything different than what you do for Deer Lake or Chateau or.
All of them get the same, yeah.
We
Okay,
can be a part of all of this conversation. I really appreciate it. Answer questions.
okay,
Thank you again for the opportunity.
all right. Everybody good?
Yeah.
Everybody's good, okay, we can close this, the first public hearing. So that we go through findings of fact. I suppose we go through those and then we can decide which way to go and then approve or disapprove with condition.
I'll let you guys read them and that, but they're basically everything that I mentioned earlier. That's what I had for findings of fact.
Floodplain, yeah, there's. Yeah, okay. All right. We have the Boat Lake approved both. Yep, 1, 2, 3. yeah.
October 13th and that, and
Okay.
the October 13th minutes and the May 19th minutes are part of the rezone file.
Oh, sure, okay. So this, okay. Everybody good then with findings of fact? All right, now we can go to conditions. We can go, now entertaining motion to approve or disapprove. With or without conditions, yeah. Those,
Yeah.
those 12.
I'll
For
make a
12,
motion.
No, there's 14.
or 14, excuse me.
15.
With these 15 conditions.
And the amendment on the quiet hours.
Is there a second? Second. Any other questions, anybody? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now we'll be to the next county board. We'll have both the rezone and the CUP on there.
Just a rezone.
Just the rezone.
Just rezone. All right, let's read in the next one now.
Got a lot of her.
You'll receive a letter from us and that, so, okay?
Thank you.
You bet. Merry Christmas. Yep. All right, so our second public hearing today is John and Jenny Podol. They request a zoning district change from residential Ag 5 to residential R1. Properties are located in section 12, town 32 north, range 17 west in the town of Alden. First parcel number is 002-00311-0000, 9.51 acres. One up here in red that Claire's got pulled up. The other one is the one right alongside of it. It's 002-00303-0000. It's 2.49 acres right alongside of that. You can see that the properties front on County Road C, and they actually front off from 44th Avenue. The road right away from 44th Avenue does come right to that little jog there. So there is definitely access off from the town road. Give you some bearings. This is the Little Falls Lutheran Church right here. There's a bridge going across the Apple Rivers. We're just outside of Little Falls. The applicant is proposing to subdivide both parcels in half, north to south. The town of Alden has brought the new lots through their planning commission and through their town board. Their town board did sign the town checklist. Then after it was submitted to us, they found out that we can't approve of it because an RA5 classification would mean that the 9.5 acre lot could be split in two because we take 9.5 divided by 5, so it rounds up to 2. However, the 2.49 acre parcel, when we split that one and we divide 2.49 by 5, we only have one lot, so that one could not be split without being rezoned to R1. Once we zone it to R1, then we have a 1 acre minimum lot size on both parcels, which then allows them both to be formally split. So the town board did not have minutes in that approving the rezone directly. I did talk to Chairman Karpinski though on November 18th. And he took it, he did not want to run it back through because he said our planning commission's already looked at this, vetted it, approved the splits. And so he said, will you take our town checklist as part of our approval? And I said, yes, we're planning to do it. So anyway, so been vetted at the town, they're on board. The hotels just need to change the zoning so that they can be able to split it, and I believe that they're looking at selling one or more of the lots, so. Right now, there's only a shed on the property, and that was built in 2011. All the neighbors were noticed as part of a class 2 notice, and we did not receive any letters of support or objection on it. There is no floodplain, there's no wetlands, it's all high ground, it's pretty mature pine grove. So completely open. So
The question on the 9.5, how do they get to the back half of that lot? Is there an easement or something?
The south end of
The south end of
they
it.
have easement proposed on the south end of what's proposed is lot 3, and that to go back here is 30 feet wide. So, like this proposed CSM map,
Is that about 40?
exhibit 1. That's out from 44. Yep. In other words, it comes right here off from that little notch and it's 30 feet in width and it follows that property line to drop back into that south parcel.
Does that meet up with what the township would allow for an easement or continuation on that road?
One of all does not have
That's
any
what they did.
minimum for width.
So it isn't a town road. So it's a straight easement. How about is the church parking lot right off the end of that too, or is it to the
Yeah.
south of it?
Winter, right here,
Cemetery's there
Yep.
too. and
the
the parking
cemetery
lot's
is right
there.
along here. Yep. And then, but here's the main parking area for the church.
Is the church, I thought the church's sewer went across the road there.
Literally, literally.
Literally, I did the soil test for it and stuff, so I just wondered how they got, how this. I couldn't find it on the paperwork when I went through where their sewer even is.
I don't know, and it's not online yet. And
Mike
that's, so
Wilson
I'd have to
put it
pull it
in.
up.
Mike Wilson was part, I mean, because the well was fine. But somewhere across that road, because. I think they cleared a bunch of trees on that one lot and they didn't own it. Yeah,
I think the applicant might know when that
was
was.
the applicant here?
Right in the middle of that next lot over, you'll see here, right there. That's where the sewer goes. And the trees are cut down, as you said, right smack in the middle.
No, go over one, that
Up,
little,
up,
right there, oh,
keep going,
right there.
right there.
There.
That's the, yeah, down, right on the edge of the road. That's where the trees are cut out and the sewer was put in. So they cross under the road
Okay.
into Joyce Anderson's property.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's kind of good.
When they started, what happened is they cleared lot 3 a spot, did the soil test and found out somebody else owned it. Right. Okay. See,
Oops.
oops. At least they were good about it, so the church went, okay. So it's moved, so it's over there, it isn't on this spot. That, I was worried it was on which lot, so it is not on yours, okay.
All is good then.
Always good, it's. It's
It's a good day.
a good day that it was on the right lot. You don't know.
He knows we're all.
We're so
All
makes
the-
us good.
Good.
So this is just for the rezone, so pretty much it fits in with everything. And the other 2 lots are gonna come off C then. Access.
Correct.
Okay.
That's all 45-mile-an-hour zone going through there too. So-
Our highway commission, is there any driveways up there now? That's,
there's
they would,
one right
they would
now.
have to deal with that. There is one there, but
There's one right here that comes into the shed. So,
Okay.
yep,
The other lot, they'd have to have a spot.
not sure, yeah.
Okay. Those are my questions. Anyone else?
You've been around.
Oh. A lot of stuff in there. Okay. Well, is there anybody, did you get any, you have no letters, is there anybody here to speak for or against? No, just the applicant, and are you good?
I would point out that the certified map that you had It does move the vertical line in between those two lots over. So that the minimum size of proposed lots are 2 acres now and not 1 acre. So we actually evened it out, so they're like 2 and 3 acres,
Okay,
make up 12.
sure.
So the north lot on the 2.49 is proposed at 2.02 acres. The south lot is at 2.21. The one with the shed on it here would be 3.54, and then the lot 4 on the bottom would be 4.2. So acres. The town of Alden does have a 2 acre minimum, so.
We should be good,
Right.
pretty cut and dry. We can go through that. I don't know, do we need findings of facts and stuff for this? You?
Okay, so findings of fact, you got the 2 parcels. Approved by the town. Proposed to divide it into 4 lots, in Little Falls, surrounded by normal houses in the church. The applicant has owned the property a long time. The last time that it actually transferred was 2010, but it was from them into their trust. And but they've owned it back into the 90s or 80s at least. Shed 2011. No wetland floodplain notice was provided. Conclusions of law. R1 zoning is supported by the town of Alden. Most of the surrounding lots are used for single family dwellings. And so the rezone into the R1 complies with our comprehensive plan, existing and surrounding land uses, and doesn't have a negative impact on any of the infrastructure because we got good road access, 20 and town. So. Yeah. With that, we would recommend approval. So.
Staff recommends.
To the full county board, yep.
Sure. To the full board. All right. Well, no, nothing else. We can close the public hearing then, and then we'll entertain a motion for or against.
Make a motion. To approve.
Like, anybody have any other questions or anything? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that one moves on.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Everything in there that I want to talk about is green, so we'll just stand down through and then we'll get all the green.
Yep.
Brother Doug.
All right. Let's jump to C.
Yeah, so, like I said, the last time we met, and then Katie Petzel, our regional wastewater specialist with the Department of Safety and Professional Services, did review our ordinance and provided comments. And the ordinance that you have in your packet is the same as this. But I went through today actually, and I just highlighted the changes in green so that you can see what she actually had for text changes. None of them are really substantial or change the meaning of the ordinance at all. So the first one that she had, permit transfer, means changing the property owner, not changing the plumber, is what I had as a typo before. Changing the plumber actually falls into a plan revision. So it's still covered, but actual transfer is just a property owner transfer. Like I said, a lot of the little changes that really don't change anything up a little bit. Like the and or example that he thinks that a holding tank is made to collect all waste, not specifically domestic waste, because you could have a DNR holding tank that's collecting non-domestic waste, but I mean. So I'm like, well, like, you can look at that both ways because this is a private sewer system ordinance, so I mean, it should be domestic, but whatever, so.
But the DNR doesn't charge for a permit or anything.
No. And that, so she just wants to say that a holding tank can collect all waste.
That isn't right. He isn't right. I want to tell her.
She's not gonna argue.
She is not right.
You are.
She is not right.
Oh, you go, Kim.
There's some other things in there.
I would say we're gonna test her because the permit system is different. You call the DNR and they give you a permit for golf courses and all that. Yeah, that is right. That's why there's the differential.
So they have a process by soil fracturing your drain field that you can try to rejuvenate a failing drain field. Basically, they just come through there and they can rip it with like a tile plow and that to break up the biomat. Nowadays, they've got what they call an aerobic treatment unit, which is another type of system, and that which has been used to take and try to rejuvenate some of these failing sewer systems. So she just wanted to buy some fracturing removed because it doesn't necessarily have to be that old style. It could be involving an APU unit and that to rejuvenate. So he wanted us to define short-term rental for a rooming house in here, since we had taken separate out that use as a use that requires state plan review because it's actually considered a commercial system. So I pulled that right from our comp and shoreland ordinances. So she wanted to add nor there, fine. This is kind of a small thing, I think, but SPS 383 talks about a property, not a parcel. So she just wanted to make that consistent with Polk's code. And
Just to go back, she missed that one. Where she put the or, now it's domestic waste, and then before she said you had to take domestic out. Okay, so the state is, she's not deciding it right. So we gotta take one or the other out. How's that?
being that we applied for agent status, I wasn't in the mood to pick a fight with her. So that was my stance so far with the state right
Got
now.
the Kim rule of law today, not the Brad rule of law. We got the Kim, this so we're aware.
One statement she says you can't do it, the next statement she leaves it in. Well,
So,
Yeah, I don't. I feel.
and this is after the fact, our ordinance isn't even be in place and that when this happens, but let's say that you have an easement. And that for a house when it's installed. But what happens if you have a system that is installed, they maybe subdivide their property and that didn't know where the sewer system was. Then later on down the road, it's found out that the sewer system's over on the neighbor's lot. What she added here was when you discover that encroachment, you're supposed to file the easement for that drain field to be over on the other lot or the tank, whatever kind of component it might. Whereas before, we only had this at when we issued the sanitary permit. Because that's the only time that we're really gonna know, because we really have no way of policing and that easements when they're reported.
so that church, you're gonna have to do that one.
Well, right, I mean, technically, in that would be a case in that where our new text there would require us to require an easement to be
Yeah, it is
reported,
across.
so. The problem I have with this from a land information side is say there's an encroachment there. That doesn't necessarily mean that both parties are in agreement to taking and recording the easement. So I mean, by putting this in here, it could be kind of an enforcement issue. Because if the other party doesn't give the sewer owner an easement, they could have to replace.
Did that ever happen? No. Did it happen to me?
So not a huge change, but.
It did.
So Jason, on that one, do you parenthesize the difference that you're talking about, so you don't run into that?
Technically, I mean, it should be straightened out anyway, you know, I mean, it's just, we're not gonna be able to really enforce it, you know, so.
Right, it would be putting
People put their own.
county in a
sticks it, and that's
position
how we
to
ended up.
Yeah.
remedy private disputes.
Then have our ordinance require, you know, them to take and sign off on an easement. Again,
People won't give an easement. especially on the
Yeah.
lakes. The guy, we were what, 2 feet over?
But we'll have a little bit more conversation about this when we get down a little bit farther, Claire. Go up just a little bit. So one of the things in that I've been kind of going back and forth on is that all post components shall meet the minimum lot line setbacks. Because the state is trying to make the statement that if you own 2, 3 lots in a row, your sewer system can go through all 3 lots and not have to have any easement or anything like that to it. Well, from a land information side, you know, if they're individual lots, those lots can be sold at any time. So all we're doing is creating ourselves headaches. And that by not addressing it with an easement on the front end when that sewer system's installed. And so the code is very clear and that all pouch components shall meet the minimum setback. If they want to hold tight on that, I'll just strike I and we'll just get it out of there. We'll go back to the code. That's what we're doing right now. So I'm just trying to be very clear on that by putting it in there. So. Okay, now you can go down. Our office never hits this mark, but she wanted it in there, about having the soil reports reviewed within 6 months of when they're submitted to us, or by the issuance of the sanitary permit, whichever comes first. I don't think any of our soil test reports get much past a week or 2, so doesn't apply, but
Is that a state thing, that's 6 months? That just seems.
it is
Why? 6 months?
6 months. Tony's got 6 months to review a soil test. But yet we only have 30 days to review a sanitary permit. So if we have to take and review it before we issue the sanitary permit, it's technically 30 days in those cases. This is one of the provisions in that D there, or sorry, D here. And that I thought they were gonna take and question us on and have some more issues with. I had whichever came first on the back. She said, well, what happens if somebody pays for their soil test before the field work? And so then you would have payment before the field work. So I just got rid of whichever comes first. That to make them happy, and it's 30 days from the field work being completed or upon payment for the soil test. So not whichever comes first. Okay. Go down to the next screen. And you want it to be removed and that an original copy of the proposal should be submitted with the sanitary permit. That's so that you can submit a copy of the state. This here, we had transfer fee in there. She changed it to revision fee, and then she wanted to take and add in designer, engineer, and architect. Which are fine, they're all capable of designing a post. She didn't really like our sentence here, so I just went into the code, copied it out. Any sewer system, holding tank, aerobic treatment unit that requires maintenancing more frequently, so 12 months or less, and that they have to have a service contract with a provider and that for doing that. So that'd be all of our holding tanks, all of our aerobic treatment units that require yearly maintenance or less. So it could be monthly.
Does that have to be filed? It used to have to be filed. So it doesn't mean anything.
Property owner shall be responsible.
So it means nothing.
So,
Same, they went back to where it doesn't do anything.
so, yep, that way we don't have to have servicing contracts, we don't have to have pumping contracts, we don't have to have sewer tank agreements, you know, so we
Yeah,
get
don't
rid of
have to
those
have
3
any-
documents that are required on every permit by just having that sentence in there.
Sure.
Putting the burden back on the property owner, not on the county, to make sure that your servicing contracts are up to date. Good. You know, I believe in an ordinance, you should try to put everything in simple terms, so an undersized system affidavit, and that to me is clear. But the state is using a loads and flows affidavit, it is the correct terminology, loads and flows. But I think if we walked out on the street and asked anybody what's a loads and flows affidavit, nobody's gonna know what it is. So, but she wants it changed, so it's the same thing, means the same thing, But if you've got an existing 2-bedroom sewer system in the ground, been working, or maybe you just put it in and you would all of a sudden decide to add on to the house and you're gonna put in a 3rd bedroom, rather than having to replace your 2-bedroom sewer system or even add on to it, you can simply file an affidavit that says in that, yes, my sewer is good, it was installed this date, it's of this size, and that I'm not gonna exceed 2 people per bedroom. So my 2-bedroom sewer system is good for 4 people. I got a 3-bedroom house, I'm still good because I can have, 2 people in 1 bedroom and 1 in the other one, and I'm still at 4 people. That's essentially what it is. That might be it. Yeah, that's it. Those were the changes that she had, so. In other words, this ordinance is ready for public hearing. So we're kind of just piling them all together and we'll hold all the hearings on the same day. But otherwise, we don't need to spend any more time on this unless you guys got any questions.
Picture on them 2 definitions of domestic waste. Yes.
Only other thing, I can't remember if I mentioned it last time, we're gonna have our in-house continuing ed training day on March 14th. It's one of the things that we're required to do now with our agent status. Katie's gonna be here to present that day. Also, Tom Donahue from New Septic Solutions will be here that day. And then I'll be presenting for about an hour as well. So we'll have 3 continuing ed credits that day. So it's kind of new. It should really help, get our installers to come in and get familiar with our processes and new products. And so it's just something we're trying to do to kind of enhance that program. So, and then we'll be going over the new agent status and the process and that we're doing at that meeting. Oh, I got on posts. You want me to rattle down through the other ones quick?
You got a list?
Yeah.
And then working
Pull
on
up. We had a pretty lengthy,
list. Did we
Conversation.
prioritize some of them, Bob? Kind of our list, did we prioritize a little bit on some of these on the list? The ordinance amendments?
Advertise them?
Did we have a prioritized list?
No, we have more of a work plan form, so a flow chart or a project schedule. That's a little antiquated, Kim,
Okay.
because that's grown, that list is
Yeah.
grown. But we're on task. They're all in the queue. It's just, I think what you'll see in January and February is a plethora of public hearings.
Get to the full. All right.
But we're on task. Yeah.
That was it. If we needed a new list or whatever.
particularly March County Board. So anyway, I do have kind of a list. I'll go down through them. We had a pretty lengthy topic in that at the last meeting about Brad's new zoning classification to protect farmer rights. Basically, at the end of the meeting, he came to consensus in that we can just take this one big long sentence and add it to our Ag 10 and Ag 20. And that's what I did. We also talked a little bit about smell and animal noise and stuff in there, dust and that. So you'll see that this one has been amended for those. And this would be both in our comprehensive and our shoreline sections of our code of ordinances. I only put it on here once, but it's the same text. So that draft has been completely done. So the comp ordinance is ready to go for public hearing. The shoreline, the DNR was supposed to meet in that last week for a whole week on it, and that for their DNR model ordinance. I have not heard anything back from them. But all we're waiting for on that is to make any of those model ordinance suggestions. They're not going to be requirements. And then that one's ready to go to public hearing. The floodplain has been at the state since the middle of November. Still haven't heard anything back from them on that one. The rural address ordinance has been through Public Safety and Highway Committee. And that one is ready for public hearing as well. So
We have that. Public safety has that.
Public safety. January to schedule a public.
At their, one of their safety meetings. Okay.
Yep, so that'll be through them, just giving you an update on that one. And then the renewable energy ordinance, I just finished that last Friday. And that, I think the easiest way to do this is to take and repeal the county's small wind and energy ordinance and adopt for itself and that the renewable energy ordinance, because small wind is now in there. Small wind was, 5, 6, 8 pages long, whatever it was. Basically gutted all of that and started from scratch. The new ordinance between 23 and 28 pages. So anyway, and that covers large wind, small wind and solar. It also is spot on with Public Service Commission 128 and both statutes as far as the process to go through it. So what I mean by 128, it has stuff in there about shadow flicker. It has in there about noise. It has decommissioning in there, a big section, the complaint process going through the actual owner of the facility first. So it's quite in depth. I do have it. If you want to go through it, we can. Otherwise, I'll just provide it in the packet for you guys for the 4th, and then we can go more in depth on that ordinance.
Get it, let us read it, yeah.
So, yep. Okay. Basically in there, kept everything private side, on that as just a normal land use permit, anything that's commercial scale, and that would be a conditional use permit, which would then bring it to you guys, so. Yep. It's got a lot of protections, pretty good, I'm pretty happy with where it is for the county, so. That's all I've got.
So the stormwater went through. We have a manure one come, did the manure one already go through? Yeah. Manure storage update. That was on this, but this is the old one from 12/7. That was part of the stormwater, wasn't it? Kind of both together? Okay. Okay, so those two were done last night. Okay. All right. That's the quarters, okay.
Fence and quarters is all in the short one.
Right, and the borrow pit one is in there too, so we have more. Okay. In this list, we got pretty much knocked down. Okay.
I think we're good. We got the adult entertainment done. So that's all part of that and shore. I think we're getting there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks. We did number 8, we're finding the forest. Here we go. Are any trees left up with all this snow?
Yeah, they're all still there.
Oh, half, right.
We haven't cut them all down yet.
Yeah.
Chairman O'Connell, this is really some housekeeping with the ATV, UTV provisions on county forest land, if you all recall. Remember about 2 summers ago, we had several different seasons. And that was confusing to our user groups, so Brent will explain, there's that amendment and then also some contributing amendment. He has a red line version and do you put too much stuff in the packet, or would you prefer not as much material?
Yeah. Nice having it.
It's better to have it ahead of time, so I can mark it up.
Yeah, he's got a mark,
You give, he'll mark up.
Well,
It's hard to mark on my computer because now I can't read my deal. I marked it up so bad, I can't read it. My iPad is marked up, yeah.
All right, so we'll go to the first one, let's go down to the ATV stuff later. So this historically has been a $3,000 stumpage value for us to put our timber sales out for bid. Trying to match essentially with the county procurement amount is now 10,000 internal to the county. And also the state DNR also changed their direct sale amount to 10,000. Just to allow for more flexibility for us to be able to go direct to contractors to sell wood, in case we have an emergency. It's not something I'm going to be using often to just, we want our stuff to go out to bid as much as we can, but it's more in the emergency situations for forest health issues.
down trees or, something that we have hopeful problems in one area. So it just gives us more flexibility.
Tornado.
Yeah, it does align with county.
Yeah, it aligns with-
defaults.
Yeah,
Okay.
so aligns with county now, it will align with DNR as well, that they changed their loans. Has the $10,000 and then or the 500 or equivalent, so whatever. Guess we'll probably go down before I discuss that one. We'll go back up to that later. So yeah, keep going down. So. I was gonna change the ordinance to allow ATVs and UTVs year round. So I went through and redlined anything that. All the different, essentially. There was 3 different tiers of ATV use of when they could be permitted, and this essentially redlined it and put it into the 2, that all terrain vehicles and UTVs may be operated. Tow roads, logging trails, fire lanes, ATV, UTV trails unless otherwise gated, signed, or burned. So that's kind of going to be our criteria of managing and maintaining ATVs on the forest. So like Lorraine, McKinley, and the northeast sections, all gated, burned, signed. So essentially that's not allowing ATVs in that area because of that criteria. This is more particular in the Sterling Township that's going to be opening up that area more. Kind of for us to keep the reins of keeping people off different roads or making new stuff will be the gate signs. So this will allow it, and essentially trucks already have that allowance, so we're just opening it up to ATVs now. To go down a little bit, so these were the previous restrictions that ATVs had. So historically, there was that April 1st Memorial Day was kind of a fire issue. We did consult with the DNR and the fire staff that really no longer an issue with the ATV standards as far as arresters and stuff like that. So there's not really any concern there in terms of fire on our forest in the spring. Red flag warnings would still put people out of the forest, but that would be the only criteria that would keep people, and that's anything, vehicles, ATVs, stuff like that. So yeah, and I just kind of went through and tried to make it as simple as we could. Anything that had ATVs in it was restricting it, redlining those. That's kind of it. And if you go up, Claire, that one that was up higher. So there was when we were doing firewood permits, there was no ATVs allowed at the time. Now we're allowing ATVs. We would allow ATVs to be utilized in your firewood. A lot of folks probably already know.
And tractors and skidders too, that's right. And
Tractors and skidders cannot. So, maybe we should.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want that. Yeah. So we'll keep the tractors and skidders in this red line.
Okay.
Good catch. Any questions or discussions, concerns?
And what you state with this too, with the ATV. Well, they go through public safety. You guys look at this too.
They said it was so complicated, Brent.
Yeah.
Needs to start and stop. Because even the recreation officer had no idea what.
How to
was
keep
on.
up, yeah.
So it's easier to open it all year, to just have a.
And for me too, like as a new employee, I had a very difficult time understanding what could be used on my own forest. So just wanted to help simplify that, and then kind of our bounds are that signs, gates, birds. There's probably going to be more, costs associated with that, at least short term. The long term, hopefully not. But that's kind of our sideboards. We keep that.
Roads that are open, it makes sense to have these open. You drive a pickup, but you could drive your ATV and it makes sense.
Yeah.
And everybody's been on board, parks, trails,
know law enforcement is actually like, we don't how to enforce what we had. Because they don't even know what roads and what logging. Help simplify. Still the same criteria, you know, it's got to be permitted ATVs. Yeah.
Anybody have any wild questions? It's pretty straightforward, isn't it? ATV group. I've looked at it too. You guys too. So that, once this is rewritten, then this one's
Right,
move forward, can it?
right, this,
To a
well,
public. We did a public hearing or not?
that's a good question, Malia. This one, would it require a public hearing?
Would not require one.
It's the resolution and also later next year. Would assume you'd have to amend forestry plan.
Correct. Yeah.
So, you know, forester comes early every year to deliver the forestry plan, so Brent would make those changes. You see it again.
But this one would be more. Get it through, we need more publication of it or get it out there that it changed. I mean, we need, you know, instead of a public hearing, we need a public notice,
Press
That-
release and.
like a press
Yeah.
release or something. Oh, so people know this.
Well,
I mean, at least, once we kick it in,
right, the new website, the parks page, we could,
it'd be nice to get it out there, yeah, because otherwise it's gonna, everybody's gonna still try to play with those numbers.
Some of the stuff that we have within our ordinances are posted on the forestry website too, so it would be updated. Kind of the main staple stuff, but what I've been doing is having essentially a link, I've been working with Brad. A link that goes to, you know, tree stands, ATVs, whatever policy, and then that's it in the community code. So people can just go on there, click on the link, and then it shoots them right to the. Code.
Okay.
So trying to simplify it for people.
Sure.
Not trying to find their community code everywhere.
But even to get it out there, that we open this many more up, that's always good to know.
The webpage has to be updated, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Right now, their webpage is nothing is.
Yeah, they're not very.
Yeah, recreational viewer too.
not the regular, but it would be easy to parks and forestry. I like your idea of eliminating that on using the webpage. You know, and then again, you know, upon adoption, will be codified through our online Unicode or vendor.
Sure.
You know, it wouldn't.
But it's something good to get out there that the people know,
Mhm.
so they don't feel like they're sneaking around anymore. They can actually just go.
And that's the thing, they're sneaking around anyway, so it's like, we're just making the sneaking around legal, so.
That's pretty much, yeah. They're trying to run and hide and they don't have. Yeah. Right here.
No, I don't sneak around.
I'd just like to say, I think a press release for it is
Yeah.
an excellent idea, especially from a tourism perspective, just so that folks know that there's that much more opportunity for ATVs.
Sure.
And make sure you let the tourism council know too, so that
Yeah.
they can share that information. People are asking.
Go anywhere you want till you get. And ask for forgiveness. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, Claire did that the other day.
Yeah, that's what
It was on the homepage.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, I think this just has to, I think we can move this one forward.
We'll bring a resolution at the next meeting on the 4th.
I think so, and then have it. There should be no red lines, I guess, pretty much in it then.
Okay.
Right up. What's gonna be ours thought?
This,
Yeah.
I think the end, the last sentence was perfect, right? We're just, there are people doing it anyway. And it was just a headache for the regulate and right, make it legal where it makes sense. Where it doesn't. Sign gate.
Sign gate, boom, okay. All right,
Brent mentioned, earlier this year at our annual meeting with the DNR and other stakeholders and we fully endorsed.
okay.
Especially Sterling, more of our playground versus the northeast section. We actually have it. Sure. Yeah, and there's obviously a big push in recreation.
Keep it going, of course.
Yeah, so all I need is a to approve.
Get a motion, yeah, entertain a motion.
Make a motion.
Okay, from Doug. Tracy,
So then we'll draft a resolution amending or and bring that.
with the numbers right and stuff. Without the lines to it and stuff, I don't think we need those, go to the board, do we?
No, but the resolution will summarize the changes. We're amending this. up specifically.
Chapter 26. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Marker. Marker.
See, Mark.
I'm-
He missed some- he missed some.
Chairman McConnell, you on the plan A then, or?
Yes, we are.
Okay,
Yep, yep,
well,
yep.
in your packet, I think you asked the last meeting to update our projects. It's in your packet. Of course, you heard Mo's presentation last night. Boy, Public Works is busy, you guys,
Yeah. the
Yes.
hammer.
in addition to their core function. So in regards to the comprehensive trail network plan, I guess the only updates, I have a couple. SEH, which is the consultant that's hired to design the UTV intensive park in the town of Sterling. They were at 60% design complete at the last meeting. They'll be at 90% design. They will submit to me on 23rd, so that's Friday. Subsequent to that, we have a meeting, and this is a deliverable within their scope of work. To meet with staff, that would include, Mo, Rod, Brant, myself, on January 5th, to finalize the design of the facility. So take it from 90% to 100%. Do recall at the last meeting, you all wanted to see the 60%. I sent that to you. I know Mr. Wood provided some feedback. Emergency services, we're receptive to any thoughts you might have. If you'd like, I can send you the 90% design as well after Friday. We're totally receptive to your thoughts. So anything that you can provide.
Is there no parking on Evergreen on that now?
No, the parking will be
So I just,
the
looked at it,
campground.
they just squared it up and then you can't get to it.
No, it's the campground, which is a quarter mile to the
Okay.
east.
It
So
didn't
that's
show
your
it very
staging
well.
area. No, that's not on the.
Now it looks like you can't even get there. 60.
Well, you'll stage your equipment at the campground, Kim, and then you can either jump on a jack pine loop, use the 6 mile loop, the existing loop, or head west a quarter of a mile and access the ATV intensity. that was kind of a decision about halfway through the design. Rod and Mo thought it'd be better to apply the resources of a parking lot rather to that site, to the campground, existing campground. It makes sense, doesn't it? We improve the existing staging area. And that would be sort of your hub, the centerpiece, entry point to those other three trails. So that's the logic.
Yeah, go ahead.
Bob, this is a bunch of what ifs. What if this opens, this loops, and the intensive use really catch on? That isn't a real big parking lot, an existing parking lot by the campground.
Well, they have expanded, you know that.
I've been out there.
We have talked about that. I know we can go further to the west, I believe. It's still county property and stuff.
That's
It's
my,
been a few
that's what
months.
would solve it, it's just have to create more area.
Right. I think there's opportunities to do that.
Right, yeah, and talking about all of it.
Right.
Yeah, so the land is-
Yeah, that's, we'll see, to the destination it can come. Again, because, not only is this design work, but also implementation of the building of the park. We hope to apply for grants to subsidize those costs. That's why the new facility is planned for be constructed in the spring of 2024. We want to have secured grants. No, we are pulling a stormwater erosion control permit in January. And another deliverable with the consultants is a full presentation to the county board. And so they penciled in either January or February. In the event there's no February meeting, we'll do a March presentation. But I think we're going to shoot for January. So that's coming to your head. I mean, the design piece is nearly complete. So there's that. And then the feasibility study for the Gandy dance. Identify 4 different options to connect St. Croix Falls to Lewis with the Burnett County line. They are going to come and present at our next meeting, so they will be here. They have reorientated the map. I have their presentation. Had a meeting with them yesterday. They have identified 4 options. Rather, they deliver those options, but they are on task. After the January 4th meeting, I'm glad Doug's here. We have been working with them on stakeholder analysis. So in other words, they've contacted or identified key stakeholders for nearly every user group. And they are going to do interviews with the spokespersons of each of those user groups. And I know Doug has been identified. After they present on the 4th, we're going to go, well, we'll be back over there. Good. We're going to go and using the county facility, we're going to have sit down here. We want to use that input to further evaluate the 4 options, and then the subsequent deliverable is more of a drill down and more engineering focus. Interesting consulting group. I've never worked with them before. More engineering focused. Like their approach. It's a little different than what we've done in the past. So again, look for that at their next meeting. Will be on the agenda.
Yeah, can I call you back?
So everything else has been updated in the handout.
How about the update on Sacred Falls, as long as she's here?
Yeah, that's a great idea. I thought. the same
She's here.
thing.
Let's get that update. Let's get her.
What do you want to know?
What are you building it?
The two things, the Woolly Bike Initiative. Forgive me, I haven't been able to reach out to Joel Pratt, the city administrator, and get an update. But Nicole is here if you want, who knows.
And for the Woolly Bike Trail that's going behind the Shepherd of the Valley Lutheran Church right in St. Croix Falls, we haven't heard back yet. So we've had a series of meetings with their board members, presented them with the easement agreement that the county had already approved with our city council. And they had a few concerns about it, normal concerns that anybody would have with easement agreement. But when you look at the map of where that trail would go, there was a lot of easement right of way that the city owned because it was platted out for, home sites. But it really, when you go and look at the topography of the land, it doesn't make any sense to have homes platted out that way. And they agree. So we're trying to work with this. Okay, well, we can maybe vacate these easements that we already have right of way to for an easement agreement to have these trails put in. So they really like the idea. It doesn't conflict with any of their vision for what that space has always been intended to be used for, which was like nature trails. And they were also keen to know that Woolly doesn't have any conflict with pedestrian users on those trails. So people walking those trails has always been okay. There's good visibility, so there's minimal conflict for like injury of a bike coming through and not being able to see that there's a pedestrian. So we're still waiting to hear back. It's holiday season, so I'm sure they are very busy, just like all of us are. I did ping Ben Headland again, who is their grounds manager who we've been coordinating with the most. So giving him another little push, and hopefully we hear back from them soon.
So in essence, they're still working with the church for blanket easement. For access. The church is for those. Nicole, would you know anything about the restroom project in the parking lot? Where they at with that?
I don't have a full update. Our meeting is actually tonight, and Joel is gone. So he was sending me an update, but I keep checking my emails and I haven't seen one come through yet. But I do know that they had agreed on what it was going to look like. They had plans drawn up for the trailhead for the Gandy Dancer trailhead that's right by the visitor center in St. Croix Falls. And it worked with a project that the city had to accomplish anyways with adding a new booster station for our public works. So really excellent county city partnership project for that one. And it's at the Interlink Trail access point to get to the Gandy. So it's a public restrooms that'll be open all year round. So it'll be for snowmobile users and the bike users. We're redoing parking lines. We have bike repair station that's going to be on there, water fill up station. It's going to be really awesome.
Yeah, the last I heard was construction was planned for the summer of 2023, and Albrightson Construction was awarded.
Bids, yeah. I've seen
So
that.
that's all we know.
Actually, we saw the plans at the Polk County Tourism group. Colleen had those plans
Oh, yeah.
for what it was going to look, how it was laid out. So it looks really nice, like it's going to be really nice.
We're really excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see more and more use of that Interlink Trail in the Gandy. So we're excited to have a big focal point for people to come and be introduced to it right there in St. Croix Falls.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for letting me talk. Yeah.
Very.
Glad you remember the name though.
Let's go to B.
What a nice coincidence. I'm recording.
Yeah. And did you want me to share? I had sent you an email. Did you see it? I sent it in the meeting about the e-bike information.
Yeah, we're reading it right now.
Okay, do you want me to say anything about it? Okay. Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you.
E-bikes, yeah, well, I put, the administrative code in our 45 in your packet. I learned a lot, you know, the DNR really allows for electronical, for e-bike on state trails. In fact, the trails that currently allow e-bikes, in other words, it's actually in their master plan, is the 400, Otopi, Elroy Sparta, Glacial Drumlin, Kinkarian, La Crosse River, and Military Ridge. And that's a small fraction of other state trails. The reason I bring that up is I learned go to DNR site. They have a page here on bicycle trails. They list all the state trails, several pages that allow e-bikes. And believe it or not, the Gandy and Stour is on this list. Now, if you read the administrative code, which is in your packet, e-bikes are allowed as long as you meet the 3 criteria, which is they're open to non-motorized bike usage, which both the Gandys. They're specified in the master plan in our 44. And they're posted open for such. In other words, they're signed. And there's some other restrictions as well, that they can't exceed 15 miles per hour when the electrical motor is engaged. So, in other words, the DNR posted that the 2 state trails that intersect our county, e-bikes are allowed. A handful of state trails have actually met the criteria, whereas our trails have not, nor has, many others. So I guess what I'm saying is the Gandy and the Stour currently allow e-bikes on the trail. I reached out to the Friends of the Gandy. They have no issue with e-bikes. In fact, they were under the impression that they were. They provided me with a list of arguments for e-bike. Not that that has any value, but I thought it was interesting. They think it's, obviously it is a emerging new recreational vehicle. E-bikes have come along. And since then, master plans need to be up. And so going forward, if e-bikes become an issue, then I would recommend opening up the master plan and having that discussion.
Well, I think it's more of a definition problem. It's like it said in 340,
Mhm.
the bike it can't go over 30 miles an hour, otherwise it's a motorcycle. Right? So I think that's what we have to educate the people with. These e-bikes have to be less than 30 miles an hour rating. Otherwise,
Well, most
they're a
are.
motorcycle, and motorcycles aren't allowed on the same trail.
Right.
So
Well, there's 3 types of e-bikes. There's a class 1, which their maximum speed is 20 miles an hour.
they would count as a motor.
Well,
But if you go over that 30, then you're a motorcycle. If you read the DNR part,
right, and you also.
and then that restricts you to, you can't go on a lot of trails being motors. So that, there's gotta be a little education there. You can't, because somebody's gonna say, it's an e-bike. I can put an E on the side of my motorcycle with a Harley coming down the road because I put an E on the side.
Okay, we got the NR 44-05.
An e-cycle.
An e-cycle, yeah. But I think it's, we gotta,
Well, they can't exceed 15 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So that's under 45.
but the definition is that if it's over 30 miles an hour, it's a motorcycle.
Right, there's a difference between its capabilities and the limit that they would be allowed to go.
Yeah.
Or 751.
sorry.
751.
Well, there's three types of e-bikes. There's a class one, which maximum speed is 20 miles an hour. They have no throttle. Class two are, they can go up to 20 miles an hour as well, but they have throttles that you can use when you're not pedaling. Class one is really just assist you. And class three, they're the ones that can go the 30 miles with or without. So
Stays under the 30, they're safe.
really they should be under 15.
Yeah.
It's the same as your car, my speedometer goes to 120.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but I can only go 55. So I mean, that's here or there. But I mean, but we have to know that definition. Because otherwise, there's gonna be every kind of e-bike in the world. You know, I could throw. Remember the old motorbikes? You put a chainsaw engine on my bicycle, and here I go. And it's an e-bike.
Yeah, but the e-bikes are electric, right? They're all electric.
See, it doesn't say that on some of them.
Well, the definition of an e-bike is
That's what the
electric.
E stands
Should
for.
be,
Yeah,
And there's three different kinds.
Yeah.
So, you know, both the Gandy and Stoward don't have e-bikes in allowable use because we wrote these master plans prior to this emerging recreational vehicle to become, prevalent. We have not gotten any. The major stewardship group, which is the Friends of Gandy, don't have an issue. In fact, they're kind of proponents for them because they allow people who might be a little more physically challenged to enjoy and be active, enjoy nature, enjoy the trail. Some folks might even use it for commuting. We've heard that before, both the Star and the Gandy, that folks actually use that trail to commute to work with grocery stores. It's really an enforcement issue. Wow.
Like you said, we do need it's open to non-motorized bike use, so that's why,
So we need-
so we do meet one of the criteria.
The other two we don't, but also the majority of other state trails do not either.
They only need it.
Again, I just found a handful of all of these state trails that have amended their master plans to include e-bikes as an allowable use. So
That's opening up a big can of worms.
I just don't see
A
the
master
need.
plan where this. We're still all right, meeting one of these criteria, we're still all right with those open.
Not an issue. If you felt it is an issue, then yes, we would have to open up the master plan and amend the master plan to allow or disallow. In addition to that, Parks Department's gonna have to make the investment to sign it. No signs for it as well. So we don't meet 2 to 3 criteria. I don't think we're any different than any other county who has a state trail that intersects there. So I don't know what we can do. I do know, sort of going back to our other project, which is the feasibility study for the Gandy, there is a possibility that we will need to open up the master plan for adding additional uses. Perhaps at that time is when it'd be best to have that conversation about whether or not to allow or disallow e-bike. Sort of like what Jason has done.
Yep.
We look at a whole ordinance, we need to clean this up, housekeeping some of this. So that
but you said that Stour and the Gandy e-bikes are allowed.
according to,
We meet the one criteria,
according
so we do
to
meet it.
the owner of the trail, and I'm pointing you all to their website.
That's the state?
Their website. It lists all the state trails. Which
These are
ones
listed.
allow e-bikes? It's every one of them. But my count, and that's when I started the conversation, it rattled off 5 or 6 that actually have amended them. So it's not like there's a sense of urgency to do this. Some have done it. Perhaps they've done it because of issue or they had to amend the amount of time anyways, so they add that. don't know. Guess what I'm encouraging and what I would recommend is status quo till in the event we open up the master plan for both trails. We can have it just allow.
We would add it to all of ours.
Mhm.
Pretty much the county, we're trying to keep them all the same, so we'd like to do it that way anyway. As long as we meet that one criteria, and unless we have problems, then we would sign it and say no e-bike.
I think the biggest issue is enforcement.
And I don't think there's that many out there that you get, what are you gonna enforce? It's by 16 miles.
They're
an
out
hour.
there, they're out there.
They're all over.
Well, the ADRC does three-wheel ones
Mhm.
and they're really fun. I mean, they've got a lot of those out there now, whether people are riding them on the candy or just riding them, you know, further riding.
Hopefully they're on a trail.
I do know, I think the
That's what
Woolly,
trails are for.
Woolly Cloud is opposed to the ones with the. They are a little more less. Less of a control.
We had a pretty extensive discussion about all this and basically came to the conclusion that you're suggesting is that, you know, let's wait, status quo, it's not a problem, we haven't seen any issues. And it'll probably evolve even more in the next few years as their use gets bigger. So just kind of watching it is what we decided.
But you mentioned these batteries, I mean. Yeah, in the winter, well. Who knows? We already have 3 different kinds of e-bikes, class 1, 2, and 3. It's kind of similar to like UTVs. You know, how they've evolved, they're practically vehicles now. So who knows what the future's gonna bring? And I guess that's in a nutshell, that's my recommendation. Let's not open up a master plan to make an amendment when these emerging new recreational vehicles might change and be a whole nother animal.
Yeah. That's the one question.
Okay, so my question was during the winter use, right now, bikes are allowed in summertime no matter what, that's their usage thing, according to the Indian Nature Trail thing. During the winter, they're not, I don't know if they're allowed on there or not during the winter, because it's not their usage time. I mean, does that make a difference?
I don't see,
That bike tires could be in the winter.
they are, and
They are.
I've seen them on the trail, it's not a lot of use. And the e-bikes, you know, most of the time you're pedaling, you engage when you're tired or you want to just ride. I don't know how to answer that. I mean,
They're allowed on it.
they're
so-
allowed in the winter. There's fat tires out there, not a lot but during the winter.
Well, I didn't think they were allowed in Sacred Falls on the game. They go across it, but that's it.
I've seen them out there, but it's really fat tires.
Yeah,
I haven't seen any e-bikes.
And somebody out walking when it's 30
Well,
below.
a fat bike is an e-bike.
What you gonna do?
They're not all e-bikes.
No, they're not e-bikes, no, but they do have fat tire e-bikes, so that's one.
You know, they could
Have it.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
like-
most e-bikes are flat tire. That you see.
There's a difference.
Huh?
There's a pretty distinct, the fat tire bikes are like
Yeah,
huge.
Yeah.
And e-bikes are usually just like a mountain bike type tire. I mean, I think there are some fat
Yeah.
bikes that are, but
Don't tell me.
Lady
It does
on the
have
top
one
one sells
fat bike tire, like
big tires.
yeah.
That's one.
There are.
Yeah, I know, but
Rides it to the town board.
But I mean, that's. Yeah,
So
personal discretion. You want to be on the trail. You want to walk, ride a snowmobile, or you want to ride a bike? Go
I
for
want to drive.
I know they are popular with the retirees.
They're heavy. Really heavy. Because I looked at them, I thought about one, but you have to put it, to get it to a trail or right on the highway and stuff, so.
I think we're good with that.
thank you.
Well, do we need that after last night, the closed session? Melina?
No,
We don't need
there's
it, do we?
nothing
We were all at that, so we're good there.
We have to go in just for.
No, we're not going into closed session. It's not an egg use. Keep your mouth.
It could be though.
Could be.
No. What are you gonna put that on your farm?
Driveway.
Good. Just to get in and out of your farm, so we'll put it on your driveway so you can get out of here.
Yeah.
Phil.
There's nothing. to update you on that. So. Number 12. Next one, do we have any public hearings that we don't?
Yes, we do.
Two more public hearings, okay.
District change and the CUP.
You have,
We'll
okay.
send you those. No, we will print them off for you, Kim. And if you want to stop by the office, we have them.
Maybe I can stop by, yeah. What else do we have then? Then it's the normal updates.
Yes, sir. We got, again,
And then,
public hearings, Brent, we have the resolution for the amendments to section 26, county forest lands.
The egg people coming.
The wildlife damage.
No, you extension egg report.
They're on our calendar. You want me to reach out?
Well, what did we end up deciding? We were talking about having them come twice a year last week. Right. I don't remember where we landed.
January and
May?
June.
Could we have them at the second meeting in January? I mean, it'd just be my preference. I won't be here that first meeting,
Okay,
but we've asked extension to step up a little bit.
yep.
And I want to be here. I want to make sure that they're fulfilling their obligation.
Yeah, we're writing that check. We want to know that they're doing it.
Dang right.
You know, what's their performance? Okay. Then these ordinances we'll be sitting, most of them are,
Maybe floodplain would be the only thing if we hear back from the DNR, otherwise the renewable energy, we should spend some time.
start on that one, the renewable energy one.
So yeah, that's what I have on my list as well.
Okay,
Boy, Jason's been
that one you got.
spent
That's
a lot of
a-
time on that one. So I'm sure we'll get that on the fourth, the renewable energy ordinance. Hopefully the floodplain will be reviewed by the state by then. So there's that. Cody, forgive me, I misspoke. We have them scheduled for February, but if you like, I can encourage him to come early.
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's what he said.
The crop. He said he would come back the next meeting
Okay,
if we had it open.
I'll
I
try,
think let's get that over with.
okay, I'll try to get Cody in.
Yeah, let's try to get his done with the crop damage. Move him up. Yeah. Yeah, I think. 'Cause I don't think there'll be as many as it have.
You just remember the stuff, Brad, was out rumor.
Yeah.
We didn't take.
That's the reason I suggested Cody to fill in that gap between Mo and the public hearing, because Brad.
Yeah, it could get done. So what, yeah, got done. We can read Brad's. It's
Sorry.
a lot easier. We could just read it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dustin.
Should have just
Yeah.
pushed them right off there.
So yeah, so Brent, forestry, we'll try to get Cody. I'll do another update. So yeah, or e-bike.
So should we move?
E-bike.
If we want to get a few of those updates done, so they don't have to sit here, should we put the public hearings at 9:30 again and do like a half an hour of all our updates?
We've already
But I mean, let's, after this one.
Yeah.
I think we should move them to 9:30 maybe, and we can get a bunch of these small updates and everything done ahead of, instead of trying to cut them too thin. You know, and maybe do those if we have one or two at 9:30. Like Mo's and some of those, or the forestry, any of those updates, we could get them all ahead of time, so they don't have to sit here if they don't want.
You move it to 10 o'clock, we get them all done.
Well, we should be done by.
No, well,
Well, we did that.
when Brad's not here.
We did that one.
Yeah,
It's like.
there's a couple. All right.
Yeah, we-
Those are
So
future.
that,
That means we'll move to 9. He wants to move to 9:30.
I think so, to give us a little more time if we have, and then, the good thing is we haven't had a lot of public comment,
Right.
so we haven't lost time there, but if we happen to get some of those.
I could change that.
I know. Your bell will help. But, yeah, I think we'd be safer that way. We could get a few of those done, like mowing them if they have stuff to do, they don't have to. You know, because we could have got most of ours done ahead of.
Okay, so going forward after the vote, we'll move public hearings to 9:30 and I'll try to stack some quick agenda items on the front end.
Yeah, any short presentations or anything, or Land and Water has a shorter one. We could do all that ahead of time, so they're not all sitting to our public hearings if they don't want to. Sit through those. Yes, they like them at work.
Leah,
Yeah, we're gonna be over there for the next meeting.
yes, sir.
Is it a lot?
Seriously?
Yeah.
Mhm.
New digs.
We'll be over there for all the next meetings now and stuff, so.
You don't think you need for closed session, Leah left?
No,
Yeah,
no,
no.
we already asked her. We did it last night.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Yes, no one else, Karen.
So second,
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Bye.
Opposed? None.
I already.